Hi, welcome to Slick Willy Fly, and what we're going to do today is a Slick Willy version of a gotcha fly. So I'm going to tie something that will be equally good on a saltwater flat chasing bonefish, as well as just as equally at home on the inshore grass flats or inshore mangroves chasing redfish. And basically what makes this gotcha special is its variety. I get all this feedback from people that, maybe isn't the original recipe of a gotcha fly. I get it. I think that it's important to switch colors. This one has a black bead. This one has gold bead chain. This one has silver bead chain. But they're basically the same fly. This one I tied with Arctic Fox. This one I tied with a synthetic barred fiber. This one's tied with craft fur. There's nothing saying that you have to follow the original recipe. Have your little, use a little imagination. Do what works for you. Tie it in a size that works for you. So I say we have a sip of our cocktail. We change the camera angle and let's tie a fly. Okay, so for materials, what am I going to use? I'm going to use a mustad saltwater hook in size 6. And for thread, we're going to use Vevus monofilament thread, only because I don't want the thread to show when I do the braid body. Once I'm at the bead chain, we'll switch back to some other thread. I'll probably use a colored thread just to give this a hot spot. For the tail section, we're going to have one Krystal Flash, and it's going to be pearl. And I'm just going to fold this over multiple times. I'm not going to get really crazy. I'm going to cut the loops open only because it helps me when I fold it over this many times. And this tail, being that it's a gotcha fly, is going to be really short. So I'm just going to lock it on right on top, fold it over, and lock that on right on top. And now I'm going to take my scissors and literally not more than maybe 1/4 of an inch, 5-6 millimeters, and I'm just going to pop that open. And that's exactly what I wanted my tail to look like. I'm going to keep this very short. So now the second material is this braid in small, and I'm just going to cut off a little section. We definitely do not need much of this at all. And now I'm going to take a pair of tweezers and I'm going to pull out all that material that's on the inside there. Where did I do with my tweezers? So I just literally, carefully, I just come in here and I pull out that cotton that's on the inside. We don't use any of that. So we just pull it all out, just like that. And now I'm going to carefully slide this in, just to where it starts to go over the Krystal Flash. And now I'm just going to lock that in. And that is now the back end of the body. This is going to get a whip finish. Just like that. We can cut this off. And now we could change colors of thread, or we could continue with the same mono thread. It all depends on what you want to do for your fly. I'm going to change to this little fiery orange. This is a uni thread. It's a 8/0 thread, and this will work nicely for making the front of this fly. So I'm just going to start the thread. The only reason I selected this thread is because of the color. So now what do I want to do? I want to lock in the front of the braid. And I'm not really concerned about too much because I'm going to use UV resin on the entire body. The one thing that I am concerned about, the only thing that I'm really concerned about, is that I leave myself enough room, a large enough gap, to do the bead chain eyes. I want to have enough of a gap so that I can put on the wing. So the body is actually going to be quite short. So now I'm going to take a pair of fine scissors, and I'm actually going to trim away some of this excess braid. We don't really need it, and I think it looks a little bit messy. I think it looks cleaner with just the Krytal Flash tail. Oh, one other thing. I actually made one of these already, and I ended it right after the UV resin because I didn't want to wait for the UV resin to really get super dry. So I'm going to go ahead and pop it out and switch flies when we start doing the wing. But you'll see what I mean. I'll be at the exact same phase. So for bead chain on this one, I have silver bead chain out, so we're going to use silver bead chain. And I always use wire cutters when I cut my bead chain so that I don't damage any scissors. And I always take that little tag end there. I always cut that off also, just because I don't think it looks very nice. So now I'm going to put this bead chain on far enough back so that I have plenty of room to attach a wing, just like that. Perfect. And I'm starting to create a little hot spot here. So this is ready for a whip finish. Just like that. And now it's a little UV resin. Make sure that I'm as neat as possible. I think that looks pretty good. Alright, so I'm going to start with a little bit of thick UV resin. Careful not to get a bubble. And we're just going to put, I'm really just trying to put a little layer on the body itself. Not really worried about the bead chain right now because that will get taken care of after the wing. But I'm going to use my needle and move this around a little bit and just make sure that it looks the way I want it to look. And right now it seems to be looking pretty good. So I'm going to spin the fly like I always do, making sure that the UV resin gets nice and equal and even coverage. Want to smooth it out. Use a little physics there. And then we just zap it and cure it. Now earlier today I made those other flies that I was showing you, And at the same time that I made those other flies, I made a body for this video. Because I would rather take this fly right now and let it sit in my windowsill until tomorrow, and then tomorrow when I get home I'll finish this fly. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this one out. I have this one that I tied earlier, the exact same fly, and we're going to pop that out, and now we're going to put this one in that I tied earlier. I'm actually going to put it in upside down, and I really do need to think here. I guess I'm going to use that same fire orange thread. So I'm going to go ahead and start my thread. The reason I put the fly in the vise upside down is because it's easier for me to do the rest of this fly with it upside down. You know, the gotcha, the Charlie, the, you know, they're all, for me, they're all based on that Clouser minnow shape. Small differences between them. Like this particular gotcha, maybe we'll call this an improved gotcha, I don't know. It's different from all the others that I've ever done or seen, because I use braid and UV resin. I could easily have used vinyl ribbing. I have vinyl ribbing right here. Just as easily could have ribbed the body. But I like the braid. I think the braid looks really awesome. I think that when the sun hits it, it just looks, I mean, it's going to attract attention. So now I'm going to put on one rubber leg, and I'm going to divide the leg equally on the two sides. I mean, this is such an easy fly that I didn't have to get anything ready ahead of time. So now I'm just going to put the rubber leg on the thread equally as I can on either side, taking it right to the top. I can split the hook right now if I want. A couple wraps, making sure that I like where it's sitting, which I do. One tip that I'll give you on the rubber leg: if you hold them way up, when the fly is done, you're not going to be super happy with the way they look. You're better off holding them under when you attach these on there nice and hard, just like that. And now they're going to end up the way you want them to look. Now you could put an additional piece of Krystal Flash, which I will, but it's very unnecessary. It's just, I don't know, maybe it makes it look like the little antennas on a shrimp. I didn't bother to put shrimp eyes. You could have easily put shrimp eyes. So the only thing I'm going to do is fold this in half, put it on the thread after I unwrap my rubber leg. Divide that up. Really not worried about the length right now because these are definitely too long and will get trimmed. And just put those on the hook, just like that. It's important that everything kind of is ending up where it should. You know, this particular fly, you can tie this in yellows, pinks, oranges, tans, for sure tans. Blend tan and orange. I mean, the sky's the limit. It's whatever little crustacean colors you want to try and emulate. Okay, so those are where they're going to go. So now for my last material on this one, here we go again, using a little bit of different materials. I'm going to use a little piece of Arctic Fox in white. And why am I going to use the fox versus craft hair or versus squirrel or versus calf or any other material? Number one, I had it readily available. It was right on top. I like the Arctic Fox. It tends to not want to foul. It tends to mark up easily if I wanted to take a marker to it, like I did this one. This is white Arctic Fox, and I just marked it up with a brown Sharpie. There you go, same body, same everything underneath. Same rubber legs. Basically, it's the same fly. I just take a little clump of the fox, and on the fox I do pull out all these short hairs because it's very thick. So I just pinch and pull the same as I do with bucktail or craft fur or anything else. All these materials have different sink rates. I'll give you another tip. When you're out fishing, these flies need to be completely wet before you see a fish. You do not want to throw this fly bone dry when you see your dream fish, because it's not going to sink the way you want it to sink. So now I'm just envisioning my length. Moisten the fur because that makes it a lot easier. I'm going to see my length. I want this to be relatively short. That's plenty. So I'm just going to trim this up. I'm going to give my thread a couple of spins. Careful not to trap anything. Couple of loose wraps, just making sure that I like the fox right where I like it, which I do. And now I'm going to crank this down. Now I'm just going to trim up that head before I tie off my knot. And now I think you understand why I say it's important to put the bead chain far enough back so you can make this nice head. And you notice I never ever use my scissor or a knife or anything on the same side as I use as the thread bobbin sitting. You could still accidentally cut the thread bobbin. I'm not going to say I've never done it, but I minimize the risk by doing it that way. Just trying to cover up all this white so that I have this awesome little hotspot head, just like that. Getting there now. Nice, that came out awesome. So just a whip finish. And now a little more UV resin. I'm going to go ahead and trim up a few things. That came out great. That might be the best one I've tied all day. So I'm going to take all my Krystal Flash. There should be 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to hold them together. 1, 2, 3. I missed one. I dropped one somewhere. There you are. And I'm going to basically make them about, I don't know, a little bit longer than the tail, than the wing. That length is good. And I'm going to make my rubber legs about the same length. Remember, you can't, if you stretch your rubber legs, they'll end up shorter than what you want. Alright, so the last thing to do is a tiny bit of UV resin to make this thing indestructible. And then if you wanted to do any artwork on this, if you wanted to do a barring or anything, it would be then. You saw it was very little, if any, UV resin at all. It's just a tiny amount of UV resin, making sure that hole is clear. I'm gonna get my lamp and just zap it. There's a few wild hairs in there that I can see now under the lamp, but I will just singe them off with a lighter. Really happy the way this fly turned out. Could have easily made this with craft fur, could have used rabbit zonker, could have done this with a million different materials. But the Arctic fox is going to look great. It doesn't foul, it will sink. You know, zonker is a great example. Zonker in the water has this unbelievable action. I mean, I love rabbit zonker. I have made a bunch of videos using rabbit zonker, but rabbit zonker really needs to be wet. If it's not wet, it doesn't sink. When you first put a zonker fly on the water, it will float. It's incredible how much it floats until it gets wet, and then it wants to sink like a stone. And this is going to be about the same thing with this fly right here. So you have to have them wet before you see that fish you want to cast to. Hey, so we're back. So there it is. It's a fox version of a gotcha fly. This fly right here, size 6, you know, easily good for bonefish, redfish, anything in the inshore. That's a great little fly right there. Has a lot of like good little features. The rubber legs are obviously going to float differently than the Krytal Flash, and that's all going to float a little differently than the Arctic fox. So yeah, this is an awesome fly. Easily can tie this in a bunch of materials like we spoke about earlier. So don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. Thank you for watching and good luck catching.